said that she did not want to accuse blank, but mentioned that blank was upset that, oh, so this is somebody pointing fingers at somebody at this. They already had like a suspect in their minds. Several people have been asking me, especially here recently, to FOIA information regarding Buddy the dog. If you know, you know. Let's go ahead and get started. Hey guys, this is Jules with True Crime Reactions. Disclaimer. Everything stated in this video is my opinion and my opinion only. And just like everything else in these cases we discuss here on this channel, everything is alleged. Buddy the dog. Buddy the dog is a situation that a lot of people are trying to connect to the Idaho 4 case, either in way of there being somebody else out there that is very sadistic and has the ability to do things that are horrible and unthinkable to most normal thinking people, for whatever normal might actually be, or that there is a connection between whatever actually did happen to Buddy the dog and Bryan Kohberger. And there are a lot of people on several different sides of the fence on this one because there's a lot of inaccurate and, quite frankly, over-exaggerated information out there. A lot of people are just trying to make connections because, let's be for real, even in the case itself, there's hardly any real connections to anything. The biggest non-connection is there being no connection between the victims and the current suspects. But that's not what this current video is about, so let's continue. So I'm just going to start right here by claiming that this is going to be very sensitive for a lot of people, even though I'm going to speak as much YouTubese as I possibly can so that there's no suppression and there's a lot more people that can watch the story, because even though this is about an animal and a lot of people really can't take it, a lot of people are okay listening to the most gruesome things about humans, but when it comes to animals, they lose it. They can't deal with it. But I'm really going to try to do my best to keep this as, let's just say, kindergarten level, talk to you guys like you're 5, because that's what YouTube basically wants me to do, in order for this to get out to as many people as possible, because there is a little bit of misinformation out there when it comes to any sort of possible connection between what happened to Buddy the dog and Bryan Kohberger, or the Idaho case itself. And according to what I have come across, a lot needs to be cleared up, or at least one big major thing needs to be cleared up. So let's go ahead. So this is the basic gist of the story when it comes to Buddy the dog. And again, sensitive, trigger warning, YouTubese, all the things, okay? Buddy had to go potty, so Jim, his owner, one of his 2 owners, got up to let him out to use the restroom. And he was taking a long time to come back, so instead of waiting for Buddy to come inside, he went up and went to bed. He got up around 5:30, according to his wife's interview that she did with JLR Investigates. I will link that down in the comments simply so you can go and watch it yourself if you haven't already, so that you can see all of this information coming straight from the source, the owner of the dog herself. So whenever they couldn't find Buddy, because again, he went out around 2:30-ish in the morning to go to the bathroom, his owner went to sleep, 5:30 he woke up and Buddy was still nowhere to be found. So I'm guessing normally he would be back near the house by the front door. There are reports that they had 10-ish acres or so, but in the interview, again with JLR, Pam actually says, they have 6 acres, which neither here nor there, but she also claims he never leaves the yard. 6 acres is a lot of traveling for a little bitty mini Aussie Shepherd, so maybe it took him longer than normal to get around. It's kind of big, but he wasn't waited on and never showed back up, and I don't really know what good it would have done for Jim to have waited for him, given the timeline that I'm understanding from the interview that JLR did with Pam. According to her and the information that she got from her neighbors, one set of neighbors had 4 dogs, and around 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, all of them started massively freaking out, needing to get outside. She ended up opening the door to let them out, and they tore out of the house, barking their heads off and freaking out. A neighbor on the opposite side of Buddy's owner's home stated that in the morning, whenever they woke up, their dog's bed had been completely shredded to pieces. Like the dog had gone into an anxiety fit and just bore into its bed. And honestly, it probably happened at around the same time that whatever was going on with the 4 dogs on the other side were freaking out, because That's around the same time that Buddy was let out of the house to go to the bathroom. Now, according to this information, Buddy was, quote unquote, filleted like a fish. So a lot of people do try to relate this situation with Bryan Kohberger based on the fact that we were told by one of his previous employers, be it back whenever he was a teenager, that he did work for him at their fishery, and that ended up being a mutual agreement for Bryan to stop working there. He never got the actual knife skill down when it came to filleting fish for their customers, and he was really uncomfortable making eye contact and talking to a bunch of strangers all day. Now, we do know from the most recent defense documents coming into public record that he has autism. So this honestly is on point for that. Now, again, after the arrest of Bryan Kohberger and everything that was going around the internet, a lot of people were trying to get information on Buddy the dog. At the time that Bryan was arrested, this was still in an ongoing situation. So whenever people were requesting information, they were being denied because it's still active. Well, I found a channel that goes by Unmasked True Crime. She put a video out in the middle-ish of March and claimed that about a week before the video came out, that she decided to go in and try to get information regarding this, so that she contacted Latah County, like on the phone, it sounds like, and she was basically told that the prosecutor's office was holding the case until prosecution was over. I'm just gonna let you hear it how she says it.
So here's my new information and where it gets a bit strange. Not long after Bryan's arrest, I tried to get the police report, but at that time, I was told that it was still an active investigation and that it couldn't be released to the public. So last week, I decided to request the full report again. I called both Moscow PD and Latah County. First, I noted that they asked me if I was asking for this report because of the homicides that occurred, and I told them yes. They informed me that the investigation into Buddy's death was closed, but that I could not have the report because it's being withheld from the public at this time. When I kept pressing them on it, they said that it was being held by the prosecutor's office for the foreseeable future. When I asked when it would be available and kept pressing for a specific date, they said when prosecution is over.
Now, I don't know what the conversation was that she had. There's nothing that she shows in way of phone call logs or anything. And I'm not saying that someone is coming out here and making things up. Okay. I wasn't there. I wasn't a fly on the wall. I don't know what was talked about, if there was anything talked about. Okay. All I know is this. I saw that video because it scrolled past me and it triggered my brain to remember, hey, a lot of people have been asking me to FOIA this. I actually have it up there on my dry erase board. I have it here on my Post-its, but seeing that video is what reminded me. So the same day that I watched that, I filed the FOIA request. But you don't make a phone call for that. There is a form that you have, and I'll go ahead and put it down in the description box for anybody who wants to do this themselves. And for my members, I will have a copy of this in our shared Google Drive. Just go to the community post if you haven't seen this already, if you are a member, and scroll down until you see the Google Drive. For the folder itself, it should be the newest one there. It will be entitled Buddy the Dog Report. On June the 5th at around 10:46 a.m., I sent the form over to Latah County. And on June the 6th at 11:13 a.m., so just barely 24 hours later, I got a response. Now, the actual report itself is only one page. The rest of the pages is them telling me which rules are the reasons why they ended up having to redact some of the information, which I understand the laws that they have to follow. But honestly, all of the information regarding Buddy's owners have been in the newspaper and on the internet for over 2 years now. So I get it, but we know who they are. Now, I've covered up my information, and I do have a channel P.O. box. I just don't want everybody and their mama and their mama's mama to have it. So if you really want to send something, I do have a P.O. box or a virtual address that I do use for channel things. Stuff gets scanned and sent to me if it's in letter form. If it's a package, then they scan it, make sure it's safe, good to go, ask me if I want it by taking pictures and showing me what it is. And if I want it, then I, ship it to me. It's part of the whole deal. So if you want it, email me, I'll fill it out and give it to you if I feel like it's safe and good. Probably is fine with all the restrictions that my service has, so I'll probably give it to you. But anyway, it's retracted here in this video because, again, I don't want everybody and the mama's mama to have it. But this is the information that I asked for, and it just states any and all information or reports regarding the death investigation of Buddy the dog, who was found by his owners Pam and Jim Colbert. Again, I found that information on public information that's on every, website ever when it comes to reporting on the Idaho case, because everybody was literally talking about it. This happened on 10/21/22 on Orchard Road in Moscow, Idaho. Now, the email response that I got simply states, the requested report is attached with statutory redactions. Please feel free to contact our office should you have any questions or need anything further. So let's go ahead and read it because, again, it's just one page. So what they do is fill out my request that I send in at the bottom where it says that's where they're supposed to respond. And it says that it was approved, partially approved, and then it lists the rules in which things are redacted. And it says right here, all nice and highlighted, Title 74, Chapter 1 for Public Records Act 74-124 down to C constitute an unwarranted invasion of personal privacy, i.e. the owner's names, but there's also a few other people's names that we haven't heard, or at least that really haven't been heard anywhere. Maybe the interview, again, that JLR did with Buddy's owner, possibly some other people's names, but those are honestly neither here nor there because there's just no reason for us to even talk about it. Now, this next one I started to read through, but it got really difficult to try to understand what the point was, or if this was just like regular verbiage for, hey, we have to seal up some things for privacy, like if it was just worded this way again. So I went ahead and typed in the Idaho statute 74-104 to get like a shortened version of it. And it states that this outlines the records exempt from disclosure under the Idaho Public Records Act. The statute specifies that any public record exempt from disclosure by federal or state law or federal regulation, records contained in court files of judicial proceedings which are prohibited from disclosure under Idaho Supreme Court rules. Okay, but you're giving me the report, so the only thing being hidden is someone's name. And unless somebody that's being hidden has a connection to the victims or something, then I don't know what that would have to do with anything. Okay. Drafts or working memoranda related to judicial decision making, provided they do not involve background checks for pew-pew purchases. Okay. Records from the Office of Administrative Hearings and Judicial Counsel ratings and tabulated scores from attorney questionnaires of candidates for judicial vacancies. Okay, I'm honestly really just not understanding that one. So if anybody has a clearer understanding of the basis of that one, please drop it down in the comments. Now it's the next one that's really interesting. Let me go ahead and pull that one up. Now, this one says Title 74, Chapter 1, 74-105, and then it states that the following records are exempt from disclosure under that. Investigatory records of a law enforcement agency as defined in Section 741017, juvenile records of a person maintained pursuant to Chapter 5. The juvenile thing is really super interesting to me because we still have no information on who did this. And if it's actually not sealed the way that the pullover is sealed in Latah County because of the Bryan Kohberger connection, then I don't know how anyone can say that this has a connection. And again, I could be wrong, but I feel like if Latah County knew for a fact that there was something with the Idaho 4 case to do with this situation, they would have responded to me the same way they did whenever I tried to FOIA the body cam and the traffic stop information that happened with a Latah County officer. I'm just saying. Number 3 is records of the Custody Review Board of the Idaho Department of Juvenile Corrections, including records containing the names, addresses, and written statements of victims and family members of juveniles. So I'm really wondering if maybe somebody under the age of 18 got in trouble for this, maybe? Okay, so this one is super highlighted. Let's go ahead and read this one. Records of investigations prepared by the Department of Health and Welfare pursuant to its statutory responsibilities dealing with the protection of children. A child must have done this. This had to have been somebody that was under the age of 18. That's where my mind is going with this. Drop in the comments if you think that's what's going on here. The rehabilitation of youth, adoptions, and the commitment of mentally ill persons for reasons of health and safety, best interest of the child, or public interest, the Department of Health and Welfare may provide for the disclosure of records of investigations associated with actions pursuant to the provisions of Chapter 16, Title 16 Idaho Code, prepared by the Department of Health and Welfare, pursuant to its statutory responsibilities dealing with the protection of children. Jim and Pam are like way up there. Not like way, way up there, but they up there. They don't have anybody under the age of 18. Okay. So that's where my mind is going with that. That's definitely where I'm going with that at this point, because it's, again, the whole paragraph is highlighted and the whole bottom thing is about juveniles. And the only way we wouldn't get information on this is if they couldn't give us information on this, because it has to do with somebody under the age of 18. That's wild. Okay. Now you are going to see that this report is in the point of view of the neighbor being the one who actually made the call. So just keep that in mind. Lots of redactions, but this really is it. There's like a line or two on the next page, but yeah, one-page report. Narrative. On October 20th, 2022, at approximately 1746 hours, I was advised of suspicious activity at address here. I was informed by dispatch that according to the reporting party, later identified as insert neighbor's name here, her neighbor, which would be Buddy's owner, her neighbor discovered blank dog in a nearby Quonset hut, and it had been but not eaten. I was also informed that the dog's face and legs were intact and not. Yeah, that's a very, very horrible mental image. Okay, let's continue. I arrived at the scene at approximately 1816 hours. I interviewed blank and her neighbor, blank blank, who resided at insert address here. According to blank, she already buried the dog. This would be Pam. I asked Pam if I could see the dog and take pictures of it. I asked Pam if she had enemies who might be responsible. She did not answer the question, but blank replied. Would this be the neighbor or Jim? I don't know. Okay. Blank grabbed a shovel to dig the animal out. So, wow, they'd already buried the baby. Okay. I interviewed blank while blank was digging the dog out. According to blank, she something. They blanked that whole part out for some reason. Said that she did not want to accuse blank, but mentioned that blank was upset that, oh, so this is somebody pointing fingers at somebody at this. They already had like a suspect in their minds in this report. Okay, that's new information. According to blank, she did not want me to interview blank because she did not want to accuse her without any evidence. There's a girl that she's accusing for doing that to the dog? Holy crap, a freaking moly. Okay. I told blank that I would document what she told me in my report, but would not interview blank. Blank also mentioned that she found a animal on blank blank approximately 2 weeks ago. Now, previous information said that on top of like the dogs freaking out that night, that one of the neighbor's cats had actually gone missing very recently before this, I think maybe like a week or so, and that even prior to that, that a rabbit was found nearby in sort of the same condition as Buddy. So let's keep that in mind too. According to blank, it appeared that someone or a thing exposed the brain of the animal by cutting the top half of its skull. Blank said that the animal might have been a rabbit. What the? It appeared that both sides of the dog were. It appeared to be precisely cut, possibly with a sharp tool. The edges of the skin that was still on the animal's remains were relatively straight, as if it was cut with a. The muscles' meaty parts were not disturbed or eaten. It did not appear that the dog was attacked by predatory animals. So the other one had almost like brain surgery, skull removal. And this one was skinned very, very precisely. And they have a suspect that they think could be responsible for doing something so freaking horrible. And according to everything that we're seeing so far, it's a minor female. Okay. During the interview, Blank told me that her friend Blank found the dog first. I asked Blank if I could get Blank's phone number. According to Blank, Blank was currently residing in Moscow, so she could just have her come to the scene. At an unknown time, Blank arrived at the scene with her son. Blank. Ooh, who is that? And who is that? Who are these people? I interviewed both Blank and Blank. According to Blank, let the dog out at approximately 0200 hours on October 20th, 2022. Okay, yeah, this is the story of Jim, the owner, the husband of Pam, letting the dog out around 2:30 in the morning. Okay. Blank said the dog usually came right back. According to Blank, Blank said that the dog sprinted out of the house as if it saw something. So the exact same behavior that the neighbor's 4 dogs exhibited at the exact same time. Something or somebody was out there, and every single animal in the area was definitely reacting to it. It's almost very like chupacabra-ish. Blank attempted to find the dog but was unsuccessful. She then asked Blank to come to her residence and help her find the dog because she had to go to Costco located in Clarkston, Washington. That is the only connection so far. There is Costco footage from that location that is in the self-authenticating files. I will say that. Blank arrived at the residence at approximately 13:54 hours and found the dog. So 1:54, almost 2 p.m. According to Blank, the dog was found approximately 80 feet southeast of the residence in the field. Blank said that she saw a big bird around the dog, probably a vulture. A piece of the dog's was still in the spot where Blank found the dog. Holy crap, a freaking moly's okay. Blake also informed me that she found a dog collar approximately 15 feet away from the dog's remains. See, other report said 6 feet. This is 15 feet away. That's pretty far. I asked both Blank and Blank if they had any game cameras or security cameras around the scene. They said that they did not. I asked Blank if there were any neighbors nearby who could have harmed the dog. Blank said they could not think of anyone. Well, somebody else already has a suspect. We don't read that. And they really don't want the person even talked to. Almost like they don't want the person to be triggered to do something else. That's okay. I took pictures of the animal at the scene. I gave written statements to both Blank and Blank. I asked them to fill out the statements and drop them off at the Latah County Sheriff's Office. They said they would. On an unknown date and time, Blank left a voicemail. She said an unknown suspect damaged her mailbox. According to Blank, her mailbox was made of metal and there was a dent in it. Blank said that the mailbox was still usable but difficult to open or close the lid. So somebody came back and, in retaliation to the cops coming out, messed up the mailbox? That's kind of what it sounds like. I submitted the pictures of the animal in the scene in the evidence drive, and then it just says Deputy Sean Kim and Sergeant D. Carpenter. And yeah, that's the information. Holy crap-a-moly! So again, back in March, whenever that other channel called and was told that the prosecutor's office was holding the information until the prosecuting was over or whatever was said, it could mean until the juvenile courts were done sentencing whoever was responsible for what happened here. Again, the rules that are being highlighted are pointing to juvenile court records, pointing to someone under the age of 18. And as we see in the report, there was a suspicion of a female that somebody involved in the situation thought depraved enough in the mind to have been responsible for not only Buddy, but the cray-cray stuff that was also going on with that other animal in the skull and all the things. Regardless, something was triggering all of the animals that morning. Because remember, this was like 2:30-ish or so in the AM. It wasn't just the neighbor's dogs that were freaking out. Buddy also jetted out that door as if he had seen something. So there's really just no telling. But again, all of the details, in my personal opinion, lead to definitely a juvenile being responsible, most likely, for this horrendous thing. And we do know that someone was suspecting a female. So could this be a teenage girl that was responsible for this? Very possible. Let me know what you guys are thinking about this new information and how it's not technically showing any connection now because it's not sealed Now it's out there. And again, Latah County has the traffic stop sealed up. You can't get it. I tried to get it even after the prosecutor's office literally labeled it in a court document as public record, and they still wouldn't give it to me because it's under the gag order. So if there was any connection and any reason to hold this, I would not have even gotten this much information. But again, let me know what you guys' thoughts and feelings are about this stuff down in the comments. If you like the way that I present this information and give my opinion, please don't forget to leave a like on the way out. Subscribe to the channel if you have not subscribed already. And please don't forget to make sure that the notification bell is set to all so you don't miss any of my rants, reviews, reactions, updates, or deep dives. See y'all.